I can guarantee that if you have those 4 accounts, you will never have money troubles in your life. In today's video, we're going to talk about the 4 bank accounts that I think everyone should have. If you're new here, I'm Yazz, and here we talk about all things money, self-improvement, and travel. Before we start, make sure you like and hit the subscribe button below. So today we're going to talk about the 4 bank accounts that I think everyone needs to have as soon as they turn 18 or as soon as they start working and start cashing checks. I know what you're thinking. I can barely handle 1 account and you want me to have multiple. The whole point is to have 1 account that you're actively managing and the other accounts you don't even look at because they're only collecting money. I used to think that I could do it all with 1 bank account. I could pay my bills, I could save, I could do everything with 1 bank account. But ever since I started using different bank accounts, I've been able to manage my money on a whole different level. So the first account that everyone needs to have is probably the one that we're all familiar with, a free checking account. I say free because not all checking accounts are free, so make sure you check with your bank and make sure that you are not being charged any fees to have a checking account with them. If you are being charged, then do yourself a favor and find another bank. I remember when I was younger, the first bank I ever opened up my checking account, it was free. And then after a couple of years, they started charging me for some stuff. I decided to change to another bank. It was a hassle having to change all my payment information and all this stuff. But in the long run, I know I've ended up saving money. So make sure that you have a free checking account. Your checking account is basically your main account. From that account, you distribute money into your savings accounts, you pay your bills, you use that money to buy your food, buy your clothes, all your necessities. So the next account that you should have is your $1,000 emergency fund. This account is at the same bank where your checking account is at. It can be a savings account or it can be a checking account. Depending on your bank, you don't want to pay any fees. This bank account is at the same bank account where you have your checking accounts because you want to be able to transfer funds between these 2 accounts easily. Your $1,000 emergency fund is exactly that. It's an emergency fund. Let's say your car breaks down and you don't have money to fix it. That's where it comes from. So a couple years ago, I went through a little rough patch where I mismanaged my money, and I will tell you guys all about this in another video. But I basically mismanaged my money, and my 1,000 savings account had none. At this point, I didn't have a 3 to 6 month savings account either. I practically had no savings whatsoever. So for a couple of months, I was really, really broke. That's when I decided to do my shopping ban and no more tacos and this and that because I was just spending too much money and I was stressing at the end of the month. I get paid on a monthly basis. So by the end of the month, I was already counting pennies. So I started to rebuild my savings account, and just having that money there on the side, it just brings some reassurance. Now, the whole point is to try to always have at least $1,000 in that bank account. Trust me, having an emergency fund of $1,000 is just going to take away any financial stress that you have in your life. The next account that everyone needs to have is a high yield savings account. Now, this account needs to be in a separate bank. It cannot be in the same bank where you have your checkings and your $1,000 emergency fund. So your high yield savings account pays you more interest than your typical savings account. And in this account, you keep 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. So this is the next account that you need to have. I used to keep my 3 to 6 month savings in my 1,000 emergency fund. I used to keep it all together, but I would always end up spending the money. I would have a couple thousand in the bank, and what am I going to do to my house? Where am I going to go? When you log into your checking account and you see that you have money, for some reason, us humans want to spend it. I was never really able to build that account to have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses because I would always end up spending it in something. Ever since I opened a high yield savings account and have that money in a separate account where I don't see it, I've been able to save a lot more. It just brings peace of mind. If I happen to lose my job, if I happen to not be able to work for a couple of months, I know I have that money that I can dip into to support myself for a couple of months. I know a lot of people that had to dip into their 3 to 6 month savings account during this pandemic, which brings me to my next point. There are some of you that don't spend your money. You are a saver. You do not online shop, don't eat fast food. You don't do none of that stuff. You have thousands and thousands and thousands in your checking account. What are you doing? Like, that money needs to go in a high yield savings account or in different types of accounts that I'm going to talk about. But if you have thousands of dollars just sitting in your checking account or in your regular savings account, you are losing out on money, on a lot of money. But I'm going to talk about different types of savings account in a whole other video. But make sure that if you already have a checkings account, if you have a $1,000 emergency fund, that any leftover money that you have in your account, you transfer it into a high yield savings account in another bank. Even if you're a saver, trust me, it's going to help you grow your money. So anyways, I got a little bit off track. After you have your 3 to 6 month savings, you can continue using that account to save more money and earn more interest. I'm trying to buy a property next year, and that's where I'm currently putting all my money in my high yield savings account. I'm not putting it into investment accounts or into the stock market because this is money that I'm going to need within the next 10 to 12 months. So having it in a high yield savings account means that I can easily transfer it into my checkings account if need be. So the fourth and final account that I think everyone needs to have is a retirement account. Now, a lot of people confuse their retirement account with a 3 to 6 month savings account. They think that if something happens, they can dip into their retirement account. Essentially, yes, you can, but you will be penalized. You will have to pay a hefty fee to take that money out. So if you do have a retirement account, that money is basically untouchable. You should not even be thinking about touching that money. That's why you need to have a 3 to 6 month savings account. Now, there's this misconception that you can only have a retirement account once you have a career. That is the biggest misconception out there. You can have a retirement account as soon as you start working. It does not have to be through an employer. You can open up a retirement account as soon as you start working. As soon as you're 16 or 18, whatever age you start working, you can open up a retirement account. If I had been told that I could open up a retirement account when I started working at age 16, trust me, I would have. I started working when I was 16 years old and got my first check. And I remember my mom taking me to the bank and opening up my first checking account. And that was it. There was no talk about a retirement account. There was no talk about a savings account. There was no talk about a high yield savings account. It was just a checking account. And for a long time, that's all I thought I needed. Years later, many years later, like 2 years ago, was when I discovered all these other bank accounts. A lot of people think that they can only open up a retirement account through their employer. That is what we call a 401k. And if your employer offers a 401k and you are not part of it, let me tell you that you are losing out on free money. I am going to make another video dedicated entirely to what a 401k is and how it works. But just know that if your employer offers a 401k, you are losing out on money. Tomorrow, you have to go straight to HR and tell them that you want to enroll in their 401k plan. Now, if your employer doesn't offer a 401k, then do know that you have the option to open up a Roth IRA. And again, I'm going to do a whole video talking about all of this. But if you don't have a retirement account, you need to start researching. Do not wait for my video and start researching now, because you are losing out on savings. So there are some retirement accounts that require no minimum. So you can even deposit $20. Imagine if I had started depositing $20 from every paycheck since I was 16 years old. That's a lot of money. I'm not going to do the math right now, but I'm pretty sure I would have a lot more money. I did start working on my retirement account through my employer. And on top of that, I have a Roth IRA account that I deposit money into monthly. It's a minimal amount, but it's something. Yeah, basically those are the 4 bank accounts that I think everyone should have. A checking account, a $1,000 emergency fund, a high yield savings account with 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, and a retirement account. I can guarantee that if you have those 4 accounts, you will never have money troubles in your life. If you start funding these 4 accounts the moment you turn 18, I can guarantee you will never have debt problems. I don't know why we are taught to work backwards. Checking account, debt, then savings, and then retirement. That's not how it should work. We should have our checking account, immediately start funding our $1,000 emergency fund, immediately move on to our 3 to 6 month savings account, and immediately move on to our retirement account. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button below. Make sure you like, also make sure you give me a thumbs up to help me with that YouTube algorithm. So leave me a comment in the comment section below and tell me, how many of these bank accounts do you have? Do you have just the checking account? Do you have your checking and $1,000 emergency fund? Do you have a 3 to 6 months fund? And do you have your retirement account? So in my next video, we're going to talk about budgeting. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't hit that subscribe button below. If you're enjoying my content, please support my channel by sharing my videos with your friends and family. Every time someone shares, I get more subscribers. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2020, and I can't do it without your support. See you all in my next video.